What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live as always from the man cave. Figured I'd try a different angle today. The angle that I had been using was always great because it showed off some records in the back, you know, a little bit of artwork, everything like that. But the only problem is my recliner is on the other side of the room, the side that I'm currently sitting on, and it does not squeak. The chair that I use for all the other videos in front of the shelf squeaks, and I've gotten complaints about it before, and to be honest with you, it kind of gets on my nerves too. So guys, let me know if you like the new angle. Doubt it's the last one I'll ever try. But anyway, a few weeks since I did a video. Most of you guys know why. After I came back from my vacation with my family, much needed, wonderful vacation in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina. A vacation several years in the making. It was great. It was good for my soul. It was good for my family. It was great for all of us. We had a great time. But after I got back from that, obviously you guys know, A, back to work, B, helping my boy Dylan at Noble Records jump off his brick and mortar shop, which is alive, going, thriving, open 7 days a week. Very important for you guys to get there. So ever since we finished up with getting the shop set up, and ever since we completed that, and ever since the grand opening, ever since then, you know, I've worked, you know, in the shop 2 days, which was a freaking blast. The only 2 days of work I've ever enjoyed in my life, and I mean that. I've been working for 20 years now. Those are the only 2 days of work I ever enjoyed. I mean that, Dylan. Thank you for the opportunity, buddy. I can't wait to do it again. Thank you for trusting me to do it. But anyway, so obviously you guys are going to want to know some stuff about the grand opening. You're going to want to know, obviously, what I brought home from the grand opening. Obviously, I mean, right? I mean, why would you not want to? Especially those of you who know I was so deeply involved in the setup and the startup of the shop. A lot of long and hard hours, guys, but I know for a fact Dylan will back me up. It was worth it. So anyway, several days, Dylan and I had put together the Holy Moly wall. I'll make sure I include a picture or two in here. We put together the Holy Moly wall from scratch. We go to Lowe's, just looking at wood, like, okay, we knew what it is we wanted to accomplish. Dylan wanted to have the biggest Holy Moly wall of any shop, you know, that any of us could have ever been in, and I think we accomplished it. It's certainly the biggest one I've ever seen, and I think we counted 69 records that we were able to get on there. But neither one of us are master woodsmen, but we got it done, and it looks freaking great. For those of you who've been in the store, you can vouch for me, you can back me up. It looks freaking great, and it's wonderful, and he and I are both very, very, very happy with it, as well as Emily, which is the most important thing, because Dylan will tell you, she's the brains behind the whole thing. But, and I don't think anybody will argue with that. Anyway, so, a lot of long nights in the shop, organizing, cleaning. Again, with the Holy Moly wall, 3 trips to Lowe's that day. We may or may not have gotten the wrong wood once, and it may or may not have had to run back out for another couple of extra parts, you know, another couple times. But my main thing is the Holy Moly wall, organizing Dylan's massive selection of classic rock. And guys, I gotta tell you, it's massive. I don't know if you're ever gonna be able to go to another record shop and see more classic rock than you're gonna see on Dylan's shelves. So if you like classic rock, get your ass up to Noble Records in Matthews, North Carolina. I don't even know what you're doing watching my video right now. Go. Anyway, so between the organization of the classic rock section, the Holy Moly wall, and, you know, lunch runs for Dylan and I, Monster Energy runs. A lot of late nights, totally worth it. And hit it, you know, 12, I think a little after 12 o'clock midnight on Friday before opening. We had decided to call it a night. Like, okay, let's go home. Let's try to see if we can get us 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Meet back up here as early as possible in the morning and bang out the rest. And, you know, let's see what we get. Amazingly, unfortunately for me, I live 45 minutes from the shop already. Dylan lives about probably 15 minutes from the shop. I might be wrong, give or take. On the way back, making good time. Interstate's dead. I'm thinking, okay, I'll be able to make it home in 45 minutes. Get home, immediately lay my head down, go to sleep. All right, so I ended up getting caught up in a huge barrier-to-barrier accident, taking up the entire section of the interstate, which meant nobody could get by. So traffic backed up, huge, and I'm just sitting there, pissed off, so mad. I'm texting Dylan like, you won't believe what I'm caught up in. So we had to wait literally for them to be able to clear enough space out. They had to move vehicles. They had to, you know, get officers out there to be able to get us through. It ended up taking me 2 hours to get home, guys. By the time I got home and got in bed, it was 2:30 in the morning. And I was right back up at 5. So literally, my wife says that the dog literally jumped in the bed that night and laid on my head, and I did not budge. I was a little tired. Monster energy drinks don't give you but so much. But up again at 5, there at the shop by shortly after 6, and Dylan and I went to work. And we banged it out. We got everything organized. We got everything put together. And we got the shop looking great by the time we opened the doors at 10 a.m. And it was great. I got to participate in the ribbon cutting. It was an honor. It was great. I got to participate in, in just the, welcoming everyone to the shop. And most importantly for me, and it was a request that I had, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I had to look out for myself in this instance. I wanted to make the very first purchase at the store. And Dylan had agreed. And it only seemed right. I'm his longest running local customer. He's known me for a decade. We've been friends for years. It just felt right. And so I got to make the first purchase, which I'll show you guys here in a minute. We got that on film. I'll include that in this video as well. But it's truly been my honor. And then I sent Dylan after Sunday, got a chance for me to rest a little bit. No, not for him. He was right back at work. And I just texted him that night, and I was like, hey, here's my schedule for the rest of the year. Let me know if you want any of these days off to take with your family or to take for yourself, and I'd be more than honored to come in and work for you. And he immediately calls me back. Says, hey man, how do you feel about working Wednesday and Thursday for me? It's been, exhausting getting this set up, and I'd really like to take some time. And that was great, and I agreed on the spot. Sure, Wednesday and Thursday I'll be there at opening. I was there, ran the shop Wednesday and Thursday, had a blast, met a lot of really awesome people, a lot of awesome members of the vinyl community, a lot of people I met for the very first time. A little disappointed to not get any trades in. I was really looking forward to spending Dylan's money on a huge Herb Alpert and the Tijuana brass collection or something. That'd have been great. And obviously I'd just let him find out later. Was $200 too much to pay for those 6 Alperts? Oh man, dude, Alpert's where it's at. I'm sorry you feel that way. But it would have been cool to get some trades in, but I met a lot of awesome people. Had a lot of awesome experiences, and unfortunately ended up costing myself some money in the shop. Because while I was working, threw on some records I was curious about, loved them, took them home with me. So, yeah, you'll see them here in a second. Anyway, so for the records I brought home on opening day. All right, first off, Neil Merriweather, Kryptonite. Might shock some of you guys because you're expecting me automatically to come out the gate with jazz, obviously. And normally you'd be 1,000% right. But this is an example of one that Dylan threw on in the shop. And it's Face Melter. I freaking love it. A lot of you guys are gonna know what this is, and a lot of you are gonna be like me and had no idea. It is a Face Melter, guys. The guitar solos, everything is sick. It's an interesting album cover. But and Dylan sold it to me for the reasonable price of $9.99. I looked over at him. I was like, dude, this is freaking sick. What is this? And he told me what it was, showed me the cover. I'm like, man, I got to have that. How much you want for it? He told me what he wanted for it. I'm like, I'm taking that home with me. So we agreed. I still don't know much about Neil Merriweather. I don't know much about anything else. But I do know that this album's a freaking face melter. You need it if you get it. This is an original press. And I also know that it's got shitty shrink wrap on it. Oh! Yes. Hurt so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. All right, anyway. Kryptonite. Neil Merriweather, Face Melter. If you're into psych rock, if you're into killer guitar solos, normally you don't come to my channel for any of those things. Obviously, you go to, I don't know, Dylan. But you see this record, Neil Merriweather, Kryptonite. Please do. Another one I took home for myself. Cruising, the rhythm sections. It's on Jazzland. Wynton Kelly, Wilbur Ware, Philly Joe Jones, Paul Chambers, with Clark Terry and Ernie Henry. Again on Jazzland. Killer record. A couple of really awesome rhythm sections on this. It's a mono press. it's killer. And you know, rhythm section number 1 plays on you know, one side of the album. Rhythm section number 2 plays on the other side of the album. But guys, basically, Jazzland's worthy of a blind buy. And you know, a lot of times, you know, I tell people if you just see certain people on a record, it's a blind buy. And for me, Wynton Kelly, Philly Joe Jones, and Paul Chambers are enough reason to take that home with you. It's killer. Next up, one that I had to take home on opening day. John Coltrane, The Other Village Vanguard tapes. Only thing about this location, guys, is the glare is worse. I apologize. There that is. It's on Impulse. Gatefold. It's unfortunately later Impulse, 1977, so it's got the flimsier gatefold, which sucks, but hey, it is what it is. But John Coltrane on the soprano and tenor, all tracks. Eric Dolphy on the alto, the bass clarinet on certain tracks. McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, Reggie Workman, Elvin Jones. Obviously, those are all the names that you were expecting to hear. Ahmed Abdul Malik is on Seaside, track 1. 2 LPs on this one. Killer. Dylan had an awesome price on it. He already knew I had to have it, so hey, there that is. It's the first time I'd ever even actually seen this. It's not even like, you know, a big Impulse release. It's posthumous. I mean, but still, very happy to have it. You guys know how I feel about any and all things John Coltrane. So, anyway. Next up, brought home a little more Train. Again, you guys know how I wagon wheel. John Coltrane featuring Pharoah Sanders live in Seattle, 2-record set. New recordings never previously available. More glare. Anyway, killer stuff. Gatefold, obviously. So, on this album, Train and Pharoah Sanders on the saxophones, McCoy Tyner on the piano, Donald Barrett on the bass and clarinet, Jimmy Garrison on the bass, Elvin Jones on the sticks, and it's recorded in Seattle, Washington, September 30th, 1965. So not very long before the passing of the GOAT. It's killer stuff. It's on Impulse. Obviously, couldn't be happier to have it. Another one that I had, you know, been aware of, but had never seen in person. So, really neat to have that one. Okay, next up, because I pulled these basically in no particular order, but this is the very first purchase in the history of Noble Records brick and mortar. Again, there'll be some clips of that in here. Bird's Word. Donald Byrd on Savoy. This is an original mono pressing. So as I'm going through my records, I have to decide which one of these is worthy of being the ceremonial first Noble Records purchase. And I had several in this stack that I thought, man, because the first one's got to be major. You can't buy a 1970s reissue of Rubber Soul as the very first album. I mean, one of the greatest albums of all time, obviously. But go hard or go home. And that's always my method. That's my method for record shopping. That's my method for pretty much anything. This album is killer. Donald Byrd on the trumpet, Frank Foster on the tenor, Hank Jones on the piano, Dave Chambers on bass, and Kenny Clark on the kit. And it's killer. Again, original mono pressing on Savoy. Savoy is one of those labels, again, that I feel, in my opinion at least, is worthy of a blind buy. Some people might disagree. Funny thing about this is, Dylan had pulled a lot of stuff from his personal collection to fill out the shop and make sure the shop had the very best stuff it could on opening day. And this is one he pulled from his personal collection, but I had no idea. And he had told me after I bought it that it sat on his shelf for like 2 or 3 years. Like, dude, I could have been done bought that off of him, but it worked out for a reason. So, hey. Gotta love it. Next up, I love any and all things Yusuf Lateef, and I love everything Impulse. So this one right here is a perfect combination of the two. Dylan had a remarkable price on it. It's A flat, G flat, and C. Yusuf Lateef on Impulse. Stereo press first. Gatefold, obviously, anything on Impulse. Gotta love it. Great stuff. And what usually follows, if I show you an Impulse album, what order do I go in? I show you the cover, talk a little bit about the artist, I show you the miraculously beautiful gatefold, and then I Splat out on that orange and black label. Ain't she a beaut? Damn, you gotta love it. Wonderful. Guys, if you're not familiar with Yusuf Lateef, you got to get him into your life. Simple as that. Next up, the compositions of Benny Golson, and it's on Riverside with Wes Montgomery, Milt Jackson, Blue Mitchell, Benny Golson, Chet Baker, Wynton Kelly, and Sam Jones. So in other words, one hell of a jazz lineup. Killer stuff. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, guys, this is definitely, it's from the Jazz Masters Composer Series. Get ready to show you that gorgeous Riverside label. Obviously, got to do it. Got to. Again, another one that Dylan just had a price too good to pass up on. Blue Riverside label. Mono, but of course, I freaking love it. For those of you who don't have too much Benny Golson in your life, you got to fix that. It's killer. Next up, Thelonious Monk, the High Priest, with Art Blakey, Gary Mapp, Percy Heath, and Max Roach on the sticks. Awesome. This, of course, is a reissue. It's on the Blue Trident label, and it's of the Monk 3 release of the original title, obviously. But Art Blakey and Max Roach sharing time on the sticks should be enough for you guys, but this is essential. Preferably, what I want is the original, obviously. That's obviously what I really want. But hey, eventually, as I always tell you guys every time I nab a good reissue, is it'll be yours someday. Just hey, stay tuned. Either that or it'll end up right back with Dylan. Blue Trident label. These presses are always quality, guys. Never pass them up. And honestly, even if what you really want is an original, these are reasonable prices, and they're always really, really damn good placeholders. I still have a bunch. Next up, Blues for Tomorrow on Riverside. Again, got several good Riversides on this one. It features Sonny Rollins, Coleman Hawkins, Mundell Lowe, Bobby Jasper, Hurdy Man, Art Blakey, and G.G. Reese. Anyway, I'll manage to make this location work in the future. So, hey, for now. There it is. Blues for Tomorrow, Riverside. Killer. Unfortunately for me, it is a OJC pressing, and I had a feeling it had to be because I looked on the price tag and saw $14.99. I'm like, no effing way, this is an original. Dylan knows better than that, and I was right. He did. I pulled it out immediately, saw the OJC on the label, and knew right away. So, funny thing is Dylan trusted me to help him price a lot of his jazz. So there's a lot of these albums that I put the price on and then bought. So obviously he really trusts me, or he wouldn't let me price my own records. But anyway, next up, got a funny story on this one actually. Anything Horace Silver, Blind Buy. If you see Horace Silver's name on it, Blind Buy, buy it. I don't care if you ever heard of it, whatever, buy it. Obviously. And anything Blue Note, Blind Buy, buy it. So this album, of course, is going to be one of Silver's lesser known, but obviously. Horace Silver, the name of this album is The Jody Grind. Yeah. Gatefold, which, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about Blue Note gatefolds because I don't think Blue Note for gatefolds, I think Impulse for gatefolds. But, you know, sometime later in Blue Note's run, especially during the Liberty days and whatnot, gatefolds became, you know, a little more frequent. And, but anyway, no complaints. It's just, you know, it doesn't look like a Blue Note that way. This is nitpicking, guys. This is nitpicking. Extreme nitpicking. Splat out, original mono press, yada yada. You get the gist. Okay, so what's funny about the name of this album? My little brother's name is Jody, and the name of this album is The Jody Grind. Okay, now what's funny about this for some of you guys who might enjoy a quick story, a little bit more music history? I can't remember the name of the artist that does this soul song, but it's soulful and funky as hell. It was a big hit back in the day. But the name of the song is Jody's Got Your Girl and Gone. And damn, I wish I could remember the name of that artist, because you guys need to look the song up if you haven't heard it. And a lot of you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's funky and soulful as hell, and it was a hit. When Jody had, I was already working at this warehouse. Jody graduated high school, wanted the job, was already talking about getting married. My brother married his high school sweetheart. True story. My brother married the only girl he ever dated. He married the only girl he ever kissed. True story. That just doesn't happen anymore, but it happened to him. Anyway. I had to play the field a little bit. Anyway. Sorry, I wish it would have happened to me that way, but hey. Anyway. So when he started working there, the song Jody's Got Your Girl and Gone, for those of you who don't know, is essentially about a guy named Jody going after all these working men's wives and girlfriends when they at work. Yeah, so basically Jody's sneaking in the back door while the husband walking out the front door to go to work and making sure he has his ass up out of there by the time the husband gets back. So it's Jody's Got Your Girl and Gone. That's basically the gist of the song. Basically. I think most people would agree. So when he started working there and people started finding out his name, they started, oh hell, we'd be at the time clock every day and everybody's like, oh, got to clock out before him. I don't want him to beat me to the house. I don't want him to beat me to the house and take my old lady. So that was like every day at the clock, constantly. Oh no, everybody better get in front of Jody. Seriously, that's true. I'm not making any of this up. And my brother never really would laugh at it. All the rest of us would. And my brother's got a good sense of humor, so I never could figure it out. I just figured he was like, yeah, whatever. Maybe he didn't find it funny. So one day he finally goes, why in the world is everybody always saying they got to beat me home before I take their girl? What are they talking about? What are they? I've never even met their women. And so I told him, I said, Jody, I said, you've never heard that song? And he goes, what song? So I looked it up for him and played it for him. And then he's shaking his head. And all of a sudden it made sense to him and he finally got it. So then he started playing along with the guys once he'd heard the song. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat you to the line today. And then I'm going to beat you to the house. Yeah, he started playing along. But yeah, so that's funny. So I was already familiar with this album, obviously being a huge Horace Silver fan, but I'd never actually seen it. So as soon as I'm flipping through the crates and see it in Dylan's shop, I'm like, got to buy that on opening day. Horace Silver, the Jody Grind. No way this album ever leaves my collection. It's too good of a story. But anyway, trying not to make this video 50 minutes. Seems like here lately you guys get fewer videos but longer videos. Anyway, next up, Chicken Fat, Mel Brown, an Impulse discovery. First mono press. Something about that glare. It is a freaking killer record. Dylan wasn't really familiar with it. We had threw it on and I told him I wanted it. So we throw it on in the shop. He's like, yeah, I can listen to this. And it's funky and it's got a bunch of guitar solos. For those of you who don't know, my boy Dylan at Noble Records is a guitarist. He loves anything with guitar. He's got to have guitar in his life. He's got to have guitar in his music. And so I could see him over there kind of vibing out to it. He goes, you might be lucky I didn't play this before I agreed to sell it to you. I might have kept it. Like, oh, too bad, Daddy. Oh, it's mine. I think the main reason I told him, I said, man, you would really like this. So he threw it on. And yeah, I think the next copy he gets, he'll probably will keep. But it's funky as hell. Jazz funk, a lot of guitar solos, awesome stuff. Mel Brown on the electric, Herb Ellis on the electric, Herb Ellis on the 12-string, Arthur Wright on the electric, Gerald Wiggins on the electric organ, Ronald Brown on the electric bass, and Paul Humphrey on the sticks. So as you guys can see, it's an electric jazz record. Anyway, and then I'll show you guys my favorite thing about this particular album. This one's rare. Get in close. Splat out! Original, mono, white label promo. Yeah, you don't see them Impulse white label promos every day. They awesome. They awesome. I think this is my third one now. My holy moly of grails in that regard would of course be a Love Supreme, but one sold online for like $1,500 like 2 months ago. So I'd have to really get lucky or sell my truck, whichever. Anyway, next up, more non-jazz for you guys. And this one's going to impress a lot of you guys because I've come to find out it is amazing to me how many of you sub to me that don't know anything about jazz and really could care less to jazz. Which is weird to me because it's like you can't possibly enjoy listening to me talk so much that you follow along to see me show records from a genre that you don't care about. But I don't know. I digress. Anyway, it's always been interesting to me. I didn't expect to have very many subs when I started this channel. Black Sabbath. Debut. Come on, Chris. You guys see what's special about it yet? Go ahead and open up that gatefold for y'all. Splat out. Maybe that's a little hint. But for those of you who aren't fully immersed with the gist just yet, splat out. Vertigo, UK Press. Freaking killer. So to let you guys know, I had held on to my records over the years according to how much I liked them. The longer my non-jazz albums stuck along, those were the ones that I was the least likely to want to part with. And some of the rock albums that held on the longest were my Black Sabbaths, especially the first 4 or 5. Because I love them. They're great stuff. And, but somebody had messaged me. Every time I post stuff for sale on Instagram, I get messages from stuff I don't post. Hey, you got any Black Sabbath? Hey, you got any Beatles? Hey, you got any Rolling Stones? Yeah, and sometimes I agree to sell them and sometimes I don't. Well, this is one of those instances when I got asked about Black Sabbath where I was like, and I messaged him back. I was like, yeah, I said, man, I've got all the Black Sabbath, but I don't know if I want to sell it, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, well, can you send me a list of what you got and I'll make you an offer? And if you want to turn it down, you can. I'm like, okay, that's fair. I got time. I'm in the record room already. So I sent him pictures of everything I had. And obviously, I had original presses of all the big ones and, everything really. And all the non-Aussie ones. I had no problem letting go of those. But the first 4 or 5 are difficult. The guy made me a really good offer. It was more than I paid for all of them because some of them I got for free. And so I gritted my teeth, put them in a box, messaged that guy back and said yes, and tried not to look at it as I taped it up. Like, okay, I hadn't listened to him in a while. So we're in the shop one late night before the shop opens, and Dylan throws this on. Not this pressing, but just this album. And I'm over there, and I'm shaking my head, and I just look at him. I said, damn you, Dylan. And he's looking at me like, what? I said, I had forgotten how awesome this album was, dude, and now I want it back. He goes, well, you can buy this one. I'm like, nah. I said, that's not good enough. I said, for the rock albums I keep in my collection, I want the holy shit presses of them. I want a Vertigo. He goes, well, I actually see them fairly often. He goes, I got one at home. I don't want to sell that one to you, but he goes, I'll get you one. I'm like, okay. Well, it turns out he literally met with a friend that night after we were through working so late and literally traded with him and got another Vertigo and sends me a picture of it. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, now I've got to go in on this. And I had to, obviously. Very fair price, again, between me and Dylan. But I got it. I got my holy shit press Vertigo, not going anywhere unless I can help it. It's freaking killer. And now I want to get the other, big dogs on the Vertigo. I got my eyes on a couple on eBay. We'll see what happens. Next up, Bill Evans, New Jazz Conceptions. Debut album for Bill Evans on Riverside. Some of you may not have known that. It's great. Bill Evans, of course, worthy of a blind buy. It is a original mono press. It is friggin' killer. Yeah, it really is. Bill Evans on the keys. Teddy Kotick on the bass. Paul Motion on the drums. Yeah, trio lineup. It's killer and it's awesome. And the best thing about it is for Evans, his stuff only got better from there. Because you could tell by listening to this album that Evans still hadn't quite perfected what he was doing, but that he was getting there. Bam. Awesome stuff. I'm trying to wind this down as fast as I can for you guys. Alright, next up was one that Dylan did not want to sell. So Dylan has sent me a bunch of pictures of the trades that he had gotten that night, the Black Sabbath Vertigo, everything. And one of the ones he had sent me a picture of was this Thelonious Monk at the Black Hawk, original mono press. And unfortunately for me, I did not have it yet. I'd had my eyes on it. I had a chance to buy OJC a couple times. Decided to pass and hold off for this. It's on Riverside. So anyway, I messaged him back going, sweet dude, I'll take that monk off of you if that's cool. You know, we can talk about the price. And he had messaged me back. He goes, oh man, you don't have that one? I'm like, no. And he's like, I was kind of hoping you did. I was going to keep it. So I messaged him back. I said, well, dude, I said, if you want to keep it, I said, it's your record. Keep it. I'll find another one. You know this. I look at jazz every day of my life. I'll find another one. But he was like, no. He goes, you want it more than me. You and me will talk about it. So I'm like, okay. I said, well, if you change your mind and want to keep it, that's cool. And we ended up talking about it. And we ended up coming together on a deal. I had brought Dylan a huge box full of trades for him to stock his shelves up with on opening day. So even though you guys are going to see this huge stack that I brought home on opening day and the subsequent days to follow, believe me, I took him up way more. And he's had some good luck selling it too. I sold several of them the days I ran the shop, so that was awesome. I always love to take my boy some stuff he can sell. And last but not least in my stack on opening day was one that's not mine. It literally does not belong to me anymore, but I grabbed it for a friend. For those of you who know Mike Guitar Player 07 here on YouTube and on Instagram, he's a great guy. I highly recommend you subscribe to his channel if you don't already. But he has been looking for a clean copy of George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. Dylan had 3 of them. I grabbed him the one with the best price on it for him that was in the best condition. And so here it is, Mike. That's your first look at it. I'll let you be the first one that looks at the vinyl. It'll be on the way to you, buddy, probably tomorrow or the next day. I've been swamped, as you know. But it's coming, I promise. And be a couple more things in there for you, too. I know you'll watch because you watch all my videos. Okay, so on Wednesday, those are all the ones I grabbed on the opening day. So on Wednesday, my first day running the shop, again, I was so thrilled. I woke up that morning giddy, in a good mood. My wife could tell. She's like, someone's in a good mood. I'm like, I finally get to do something for work that I enjoy. I went to work when I was 14 years old, bussing tables in a seafood restaurant. From there, more fast food, industrial, food distribution, steel, polyester fiber. That's where I'm at now. Warehouses, just about half my life. I'm almost there. And I've never enjoyed a single day of it. I just got to be honest. There were days that I hated less than the others. That's all I can say. That's about as nice as I'm prepared to be. Like I come home and my wife's like, hey, how was it? It wasn't too terrible. But, you know, it wasn't too terrible. So, a good day? No, I just said it wasn't terrible. Anyway, so I go to run the shop, and I really had fun that first day. And so I'm shooting Instagram videos all day long, putting them up on my stories, promoting the shop, showing what we had on sale, showing what we had in the shop, showing the stuff on the Holy Moly wall, everything. And I got a lot of hits. Unfortunately for me, most of the hits were for people who lived all over the world and wanted us to ship. And Dylan's just opening, guys. He's not there yet. And I certainly wasn't going to do it myself. So I was hoping that I'd get some hits from people who wanted me to just hold it for them until they could get down there. Because that's awesome. I'm all about that. I think that's very fair for record stores. If you want to keep your customers happy, that's always a fair practice in my opinion. Hold it for weeks, no. But hold it for a couple hours, sure. Anyway. So I did end up getting one hit, though, that I was able to sell, and it was from a buddy of mine who lives also in South Carolina. So I don't have to ship it. I don't have to worry about anything on that front. All I have to do is wait until the next time I see him, which will be soon enough. He snagged this Blind Faith B13 pressing. I'm not familiar with it, to be honest with you, but I think it's like a bootleg type deal. There's only 500 of them in existence. So yeah, I think it was printed in Tokyo, but yeah, for you guys who are familiar with it. My boy Rob, if you're watching, this will be yours soon. Until then, I might throw it on out of curiosity. Why not? It's in my house as of now, so hey. Next up. What can I say, guys? I'm thirsty. Oh, yeah. Sounds great. Yeah. This new location is closer to the beer fridge. Perks. If I could just do something about this damn glare here. But you guys haven't heard one squeak yet, so hey. You just heard my annoying ass voice for the last 30 minutes. Anyway. So. friend of ours who was also helping out and trading Dylan a bunch of records leading up to the day of the opening. He and I had struck a deal. We're also friends. The three of us are all friends. We had struck a deal. He had bought 2 off of me. We agreed to make part of it, cash and a record. So, the record he brought me is a big dog. Quebec Soul Samba. Fuck. Damn glare. Here you go. This is an original mono pressing. Ain't no half stepping from your boy. Beautiful stuff. No splits, no seams, no problems. Quebec on the tenor. Kenny Burrell on the guitar. Wendell Marshall on the bass. Willie Bobo on the sticks. And Garvin Massot on the checkery. So, I probably butchered that last word. I know what it is, but I've always kind of sucked at saying it. You guys know, obviously, what's coming next. Splat out! Quebec, Bossa Nova, Soul Samba. I've wanted all the Quebec that I could get my hands on for the longest. Blue and Sentimental's high on my list, very high on my list. There's a lot of analog reissues and stuff like that I keep passing on because I really want that original. But eventually, guys, if that doesn't happen quick, I'm going to have to go ahead and just jump on some of those analogs and just sell them later because I really want this music. But original mono press, he and I again had agreed on the trade. The last night before the shop opens, he was there. That was the night we were going to do the trade. He brought a bunch of stuff for Dylan, but he forgot to bring this. Literally left it on his coffee table. So I was like, hey, are you coming into the grand open? And he's like, yeah. I was like, if you get there and I'm already gone, just leave it with Dylan and I'll get it later. So when I came in to run the shop on Wednesday, took this bad boy home with me. Next up, I'm going to show you guys a few that Dylan had went through that he just thought I would like and set on the side for me. Willis Jackson, Jackson's Action, live recording. There you go. Original mono, Willis Jackson on the tenor, Frank Robinson on the trumpet, Carl Wilson on the organ, Pat Azara on the guitar, and Joe Hardick on the sticks. And I don't know if I said it was an original pressing, but if I did, ignore me. Blue Trident. Bam. Splat out. Great record. I'm picking up a lot of Willis Jackson lately, excuse me. Next up is a fun one because it's a French pressing. And it's Miles Davis Facets. And again, because it's a foreign pressing, a lot of the foreign pressings sometimes flimsier, not as much, kind of put into them. It is a mono press, and it's quintet sextet with Michel Legrand and his orchestra, the brass ensemble of the Jazz Classical Music Society. I've never heard this in my life. I've heard the songs, obviously, but I've never heard this particular recording. So just that was cool enough, and I'm like, it's Miles, so it can't be bad. But yeah, I just thought it was cool. It was like a French jazz album. Why not? I'll let you guys know later if I get a chance to find out how it sounds. But great stuff. Next up, this is one he'd been saving for me. It's the amazing Bud Powell Volume 2. Blue Note. I wish you were looking at an original mono pressing. You are not. You are looking at a direct metal mastered pressing, so that's 80s. This is Volume 2, obviously. It's a great album. It's a great lineup, and everything about it is stellar. And Bud Powell, guys, if you're not familiar with Bud Powell, chances are Bud Powell probably, if he's not your favorite jazz pianist, he probably influenced your favorite jazz pianist. So, anyway, several different players on this. Powell on the keys, obviously, throughout. Curly Russell on the bass. Max Roach on the kit on a few of them. Roy Haynes is on the kit on a few of them. Tommy Potter is on the bass on a few of them. George DeVivier is on the bass. Art Taylor's on the kit on a couple of them. It's great stuff. And again, this is a direct metal mastered. It at least maintains the original label to an extent, except for saying the finest in jazz since 1939 on it. But these are good solid pressings, guys, and you can usually find them for 15 bucks. So that's the best thing about them. Okay, now to this portion. And this portion is records I bought because I threw on while I was in the shop. So, Dylan had a few on our, what I like to refer to as our holy moly wall, because I helped build it, damn it. I helped build it. I think that's fair. I think Dylan would agree. That's fair. But I threw on several throughout the day that I was curious about, but not entirely sure of, and then decided I had to have them because that's what happens to me when I'm allowed to play music throughout the day at a record store. Guitar Moods by Mundell Lowe. I had joked to a couple of customers in the store at the time, as we were vibing out to this album, that Mundell Lowe kind of sort of looks like a Kennedy. He got that Kennedy style kind of haircut. Kind of sort of. It's like if a Kennedy decided to start making jazz music. So, you know, he's on the guitar, obviously, with Al Klink on the flute and bass, clarinet, Phil Bodner on the oboe and English horn, Trigger Alpert on bass, Ed Shaughnessy on the kit on some songs, yada, 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 yada. And it's, of course, on Riverside. Riverside White Label. Deep groove. Great stuff. I hate the inner sleeve that this one came with, but anyway, I'll get a better one. It'll soon be replaced by a MoFi sleeve, so no harm, no foul. Just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. Alright, next up. This one blew my freaking mind. And Dylan was at, and I was telling him how much it blew my mind. He was actually like, yeah, I was surprised you didn't take that home on opening day. I was like, yeah, I knew what it was, but I hadn't listened to it in a while, and, you know, some stuff had to go back before I went freaking broke, and, you know, hey. So, Mose Allison, Backcountry Suite. Piano, bass, and drums, killer trio. This is an original mono pressing on Prestige. Guys, this is freaking killer. This album blew my mind. I spun it like twice back to back in the shop. That gorgeous yellow and black Prestige label. But yeah, when he got into the shop that night, I had showed him, you know, my day's worth of purchases, and he was laughing at me. He was like, yeah, I knew there was no way you were going to hang out listening to these records all day without buying something. I'm like, yeah, well, you know me. So I took that one home that night. So basically the money I made to run the shop, I literally just gave it right back to him. We could have just traded up. But anyway, Mose Allison. And it's a very bluesy jazz album. It's like blues bop. It's very bluesy in some spots, and it's very hard bop in other spots. And there are a couple tracks with vocals on it. One Rube Country Shack in particular is a very, very memorable track. It's the very last track, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, yeah, these are great. This is a wonderful album because he's a good singer with a bluesy type voice as well as a great pianist. And yeah, I would highly recommend it, guys. You see this album in any way, shape, or form. And I might throw this one on again before the end of the day. Actually, this is freaking great. It's an awesome album. Yeah, I'm glad that I guess nobody else who came in knew what it was, because I'm glad it lasted, because it sat up there on our holy moly wall for several days, and I finally just yanked it off the wall to listen to it, and blew my freaking mind. I played it back to back, took it home with me that night. Here we are. All right, the next one. Okay, so little inner secret. Dylan's got this crate that he keeps in the shop under the desk that's got his personal albums, his personal holy shit stack that he likes to listen to in the shop. Now, one stance that he does have is he wants to play stuff that he can sell. He wants to, when customers are in the shop, he wants to throw on stuff that's for sale so that a customer can hear it and go, oh man, that's awesome, what is that? And then, you know, buy it. So a lot of his albums that he's got in that crate, he really doesn't want to throw on because somebody could then want to buy it and he might have a decision to make. And let me tell you guys, this crate is full of killer shit. It is, you know, a bunch of old blues, you know, a few old jazz, a bunch of awesome psych. You guys know dealing with the psych. Some prog. It's a great crate. So I start flipping through that. I tried not to play anything out of that crate while customers were in shop because, again, I wanted to play them stuff that we could sell. And one album that I come up on, obviously I was familiar with, but I hadn't been all the way through the crate yet. So I come up on the big sound. Gene Ammons All-Stars, guys. This guy, John Coltrane, Jerome Richardson, Paul Kenneth, and Pepper Adams. It is on Prestige. It is effing killer. Unfortunately, not a very first, but Blue tried it. I've told you guys about it before. Take it to the bank. They're great pressings. So I immediately like that, and because I don't have it. Well, I do now, but I didn't have it. But I knew it was in his crate that he'd already told me about, where he kept his stuff that he didn't really want to sell. So just to tease him, I'm spinning it. And I sent him a text message like, dude, sell me this record. Right? And brief pause, and then he messaged me back. He goes, oh no. He goes, we'll talk about it. And I didn't think I'd get that. I thought I was going to get no. And I was like, okay, sure, we'll talk about it. So he came to the shop that night. We worked out a price, and I took it home with me. But that's usually how it is. Dylan doesn't have any problem letting me get his jazz 95% of the time, because he knows that's just my favorite. And yeah. And hey, that's what friends are for, right? So anyway, that is the very last album of a week's worth of albums that I brought home between opening day, between the days working at the shop, between stuff that he had already been holding for me. So yeah, that's the dealio with that. I've already put in, I'm not even going to drop a number, a lot of money between trade-ins and between actual cash and between money that I had actually went in and worked for. And thanks for the money from PayPal, Dylan, for the day. All right, here it is, right back for records. And he's actually holding another one for me at the shop right now, because he got it in the other day, threw it on, and is a pressing that I've been looking for years. I'm not going to name drop it now, because that'll spoil my next New Arrivals video. But best believe. A couple hints. Number one, it's one of my top 2 favorite rock bands of all time, another rock record. And it is a holy cow pressing. So I'll let you guys go back and think about the time you spent watching my videos and think about whether or not I've ever name dropped this band as a top 2 favorite band of all time for me. And by top 2 being second. So yeah, see if you can put it together. Anyway, that's the end of what I've bought from Noble Records. That's the end of my stories from working in the shop. I've actually got more, but I don't want to give you guys everything. Some of this shit I want to keep just for myself. It was an awesome experience. It has been an awesome experience, and hopefully will continue to be an awesome experience, as I'm going to go to the shop all the time. Hopefully, get to run it a few more times, as often as Dylan wants. And so that concludes the video. Now to a few pictures of my gorgeous daughter and some pictures from us in the shop. And before opening, after opening, just hey, me running the shop. Yeah. Until next time, until next video, keep dropping that needle, you guys. On one final note, Dylan and Emily, I couldn't possibly be happier for 2 people. You guys have realized a dream long in the making. And way back when I first met Dylan a decade ago, I could tell that this guy was just very hardworking, very, very, very genuine, very caring, very loving person who would obviously do anything for his family and would do anything for his friends. And one of my favorite things about Dylan, if you're watching, buddy, has always been that you're every bit as excited to put a great record in the hand of a friend or a customer as you are in getting one yourself. And way back when I first met you selling records on eBay, I knew that this was going to be bigger, something bigger for you. I wasn't sure quite yet. And then when you guys started doing the pop-ups, the first pop-up, huge success, guys. For those of you who couldn't have been there, it was huge success. And I was like, this is great. But you know, for first, you're always expecting a good turnout. The second, huge turnout. Third, huge turnout. Fourth, it's like, this guy's going to open a record store someday. I just knew it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, but he's going to do it. I had no doubt in my mind. And you've done it. Dylan, Emily, you guys have done it. And I couldn't be happier for you. You are two of my absolute favorite people, and I mean that. 7 billion people on this planet. And let's just say I don't love 7 billion people. But I probably love less than 100. I love you guys. You guys are phenomenal people. You're genuine. Two of the nicest people I've ever met. You're two of the best parents I've ever met. Your boys are so sweet. Cannon and Noble are great, great young men. And with great things destined for them as well. And this shop is going to be the best shop in the Carolinas. And I have no doubt going to be one of the best shops in the East Coast. And I have no doubt one of the best shops in the country before anybody can even blink their eyes. And I am so happy and thrilled that I got to play even the smallest part in it. And that maybe, you know, I'll get to run the shop for you guys sometimes. But more importantly than anything that I just said, I'm just so unbelievably thrilled to have each of you guys as my friend. You guys are in my nightly prayers. I'll do anything in the world for you. I mean it. I really mean it. Congratulations, you guys. Cheers to the best damn record store in the Carolinas, Noble Records. See you guys soon.